Dear Divine, dear Tao, dear Source, we love you all, honor and appreciate you all. We deeply thank you for your grace, your blessings, your love, and all other good things of life which you have always provided without our knowledge. We are very grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for all your guidance and thank you for all the knowledge and all the teachings of the electron. Thank you. While we are on the subject of this preservation of the sacred fire, I thought I should share with you some beloved Saint Germain's instructions on one of the elements that has not had a great deal of teaching accompanying the decrees. I mentioned this during the conference, the electronic circle affirmation on page 4. I'd like to explain a little bit to you about the electronic circle. Saint Germain explains that every creation, not only people, not only elementals, but every object, every plant, and so forth, has its own version of the electronic circle. Before I can explain your electronic circle to you, I think it might be helpful to give you an example or an electronic circle in operation. Let us take, for example, a pine cone seed. A pine cone seed has a germinal power of life within itself. When you understand this much, right, all of you? Stop me if you don't understand, huh? Hello? Where is Rita gone? When it is on its way to germination, it sends forth a tone and sends forth from itself a circle of radiance. Now, granted, in the case of a pine cone seed, it might not be a very big circle, but it is an extension out into the space. And part of the functioning of that circle is to insulate and isolate space around the seed that becomes the exclusive use of that seed. That much samajh mein aaya? Understood? Have you understood this much?
No, Master.
Yes.
Who said no?
I said no, Master. Teja.
So, Sandhya Ben, કેમ છો? હમણાં જ પૂરું થયું બનવાનું. અહીં judo class ચાલે, but you are welcome to stay. So you can stay. So if a pine seed is there and it's about to germinate, it sends out a sort of it sort of borders a space around itself so that all that creative force which is going to happen is retained inside and it doesn't disperse. So it has made its own boundaries where it's going to, retain that force of life inside it, that boundary. Of course, in the case of pine tree, that much, the hollow is a little less than what it would be in a human being. Okay, got it?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. So, further. So it is hallowing space. Hallowing means sacred. It's a sacred space where you make a space a sacred. It is creating in the electronic circle or electronic belt, which is nothing to with the electronic belt that was taught in the previous activity. But it is creating a sacred space. It establishes a triple ring pass knot around the seed and it forms a frontier. It forms a barrier that is the extent that the radiation it is going to germinate the seed and build the plant that is going to grow. The light of the germinal power within the seed will go out to that barrier and then it will cycle back. Means the power will not disperse. That power will remain within of germination. You understand? And it won't disturb. And it has sort of hallowed. Hallowed the space means made the space, sanctified the space. This is important because there is all kinds of other plants and all kinds of other seeds that are all trying to get germinated at the same time, all around it, and each one of them has its own operation that isn't interfered with. So this is the device, the technique that exists around every element of creation, including you and I. It is a radiance, a circle of fire that is torn out by the mighty I am presence. It would be outside of the tube of light, probably twice the distance from the tube of light, if you wish to consider it in that regard, and our own personal radiation, unless we are performing some premeditative act halfway around the world, our own natural estate would be for this electronic belt to be creating that personal space for us. And again, the most important part of the operation for tonight's discussion is that our own aura and our own light goes to the edge of that and orbits around and returns and recycles. It goes back and forth and round, but it doesn't actually leave the outside of that. Itna samajh mein aaya? So there is a tube of light which we get from this thing, and then the radiance, our own radiance, which is spreading. That's not our aura. It's the space which we have sanctified and kept for ourselves. And our aura will go up till that boundary and come back. So unless we are going halfway around the world, means unless mentally we are doing some work, sending our energy somewhere, then we are sending our energies more out. So then that space has to be more out. But until you're not doing that, it is within our own orbit, that orbit which is formed, and the aura remains inside that space. Okay, got it? All of you?
So, Master, in meditation, when we're connecting with the higher self, does
Yeah.
this energy rise, this halo rises?
When we do the aura will rise, then if the aura becomes bigger, the space is double. Correct? Logic here. I'm just applying my logic. So when we are connecting, definitely our aura becomes bigger and stronger and brighter. And the space is always double the aura. They said that, right? So again, we are reading further. Okay. So this is the device technique that exists around every element of creation, including you. It is a radiant circle of fire that is thrown out by the mighty I am presence. It would be outside of the tube of light, probably twice the distance of the tube of light, if you wish to consider it in that regard, and our own personal radiation, unless we are performing some premeditative act halfway around the world, our own natural estate would be for this electronic belt to be creating the personal space for us and again. The most important part of the operation for tonight's discussion is that our own aura and our own light goes to the edge of that and orbits around and returns and recycles. It goes back and forth, round and round, but it does not necessarily leave outside of that. One of the way of looking at this electronic circle ordinarily is that it will radiate out with fingers of light going horizontally in all directions, and it creates a ring pass knot which is operated by our free will. Once this is properly established and reinforced, it becomes a tremendous protection, an action of protection. For most live streams Through many embodiments, this impervious belt and circle has been ruptured periodically. Entire sections of it may be missing, and it has weakness in it. So those places where the electronic circle is lacking are an unguarded flank in our aura, and individuals who often feel encroached upon by opposing forces do not have the reinforcement in that electronic circle that they should have. इसका मतलब क्या है मालूम है? So this electronic circle is like a shield around us, right? But if we have done something which is not in alignment with the divine, then there will be rents in the electronic circle, and the shield will break in certain size. And wherever there are rents and tears, we are susceptible to being psychically receiving something negative in our aura. Those who are protected, their auras will be protected, and psychically we will not receive anything. But all attacks can be only received when there are rents in our aura. And if you are not from time to time connecting with the divine and empowering that shield, may make it strong, that means that means then the shield becomes weaker at some point and the rents start forming. You all getting? Get this? This is so important. It's simple but so important when you're connected. Are we getting a deeper insight in the electronic belt? Are we getting a deeper insight? Any questions? So what is happening where those gaps are in the electronic circle? What is really happening is this. The light of the crystal cord is bleeding off out of the personal space where it should have been contained, sealed within the individual aura. So as you all know that we are connected with the divine with 3 cords, and we are being nourished by the divine through the 3 cords. But when that rents are there, that light, the blessings which we are getting is getting leaked off. It's like a hole in the bucket. Okay. Once that electronic circle is entirely fortified and functioning as it is supposed to, then you can begin the accumulation of the charge of the sacred fire within the aura. The buildup of this light, it's like all of these things are stopped. Only the brass kettle is elastic and it is able to absorb more energy. There is positively no quantitative limit to how much light can be retained in the electronic circle of the presence that is established around us. So as much of light you can store in, as much you can connect deeply with the divine, and as much light you can store in your electronic belt, within your electronic. As I said, your aura expands, the electronic belt is bound to expand that. That much light you can keep on storing. Okay. A little side note about this electronic circle. Whenever there is some kind of concern that has to be dealt with, some immediate type of concern, a more than ordinary amount of light will go out from your chakras to deal with that. You have all been in the novelty store. They're giving an example, where there have those rare gas globes, and they have a central little electrode, and then you see these little tiny fingers of luminous flames going out. Well, imagine that happening more or less horizontally in a circular pattern, and imagine ideally a more or less regular spokes pattern going out of the edge of the circle, and you know what happens when you come along and you touch a place on that, and then a lot of flame will kind of move over and focus itself where you have touched. Well, when there is some kind of agitation or opposition in a certain direction, the light within your world will quadruple to deal with that condition, and it will deal with it kind of impersonally. So what they are saying is, if there is a something which you are dealing with, some difficult situation in life you are dealing with, so in that part of the aura, the light will send it's the from your chakras, the light will send the most appropriate light will go in that direction of that aura, and all more of the light will accumulate in that part of the aura where there is a problem. Then it is again saying something else. If you have a second thing and you have a second, oh shit, oh no, it's gone. Okay, wait. If you have a second thing and you have a certain amount of buildup of light, so एक थोड़ा light तो गया, लेकिन your buildup of light is good amount. So you have a second issue going on. The buildup of light, you might be astute enough to hold the balance of two things. So you can send there also and send to the other part of the problem. But if a third thing happens at the same time, you don't have enough reserve to hold the balance for that one as well as the other two that are still agitating. And at that point, you may lose your harm. You become irrational, you become upset, and there is a riding from from the astral plane of a like vibrating substance to whatever that particular discord is. It just comes to the break in the electronic circle at that point, and that is called a riptide, when 10 times more agitation rides in then, and you had it in your own world to begin with and gets multiplied. So did you all understand this? I understood this. So they said, see, in short, what they are saying is, if you have lot of light within the circle, then you can really deal with many problems. But if your light is limited, and if you have one problem and you send the light there, then there's a second problem simultaneously happening, you're sending the light there. Then the third problem happens and you don't have enough light to be sent, but still you are sort of dealing with that problem. So naturally you're upset because you don't now have enough energy and light. So when you're upset and not in harmony, so there's a slight rent. Now the astral world, where there are similar, astral world is one world you should never connect with. I've always told you that, right? All of you, right? Most people who are into this tarot reading and astrology are always with the astral world, and which is very wrong. Do not connect with the astral world. So from there, whatever you are going to feel, you are going to have 100 times that attack from that. And that is how your aura can rip off. I mean, your electronic belt can rip off. So what, in short, they are telling us is you have to build the light within that aura a lot, so that whatever comes, you can deal with. So far, so good, all of you, understanding?
And in case you feel depleted, Master,
Huh?
in case you feel depleted
Sit
when
back and meditate now again. And close your, that is why you have to keep on building your aura and keep on this thing, your electronic circle also. And that is called a riptide, when 10 times more agitation rises in, and that what you had in your own world to begin with, and it gets multiplied. So this electronic circle is a very real thing. One thing I will remind you of about it, one of the things that the masters have said is that the free will is absolutely supreme. And it is also supreme when it comes to forces that are not in agreement with that free will. Ascended masters, you don't have to worry about them. They are not going to override your free will. You might wish they would. Even if you don't wish they would, it would be better for you if they would, but they won't if you wanted them, do. Nor will your Christ self or your God presence. Your free will is supreme. What they are saying is that if you don't want the ascended masters to help you with the electronic belt, and if you don't believe in the electronic belt, then they will never interfere and they will never help. Actually, if they would, it would be better for you, even if you don't ask. But still, the free will rules supreme where the ascended master is concerned. Where the dark side is concerned, they will, whether you want them in your life or not, they will just enter and barge into you. That is what they are saying. But the ascended masters will never, only if you want them to help you, then only they will come and help. That is why it's so important, the invocation here. You're getting my point, all of you, what we are doing. Are you all happy that we are reading this and you're having a deeper sense? Huh? Deeper sense is always very. But the point is that even in this outer world, your free will is really supreme. And reason it doesn't always operate it because in the past you have misused that free will and you have dismantled your electronic circle with your own free will and you have let yourself open for forces to ride in. Also, there's been a drainage away, wasting away of the sacred fire. So, in general, there's not a lot to go around to hold the balance for conditions. But when you really do realize how supreme your free will is, and you go about settling into the motion, the re-establishment of the electronic circle, the rebuilding of it together with the other calls that you know how to make, you can make your personal world impervious to any force that is anti-ethical to your vibration. So the best part is we know what our free will is. And if this is what you're wanting, you can rebuild your electronic belt consciously and use and by building that belt you can store a lot of light from the divine. Okay. And the way that the action works is that the light comes down, goes out to the edge of the electronic circle and comes back and goes round and round, and it's building up momentum. It's building up kinetic energy. And this energy can build up and build up and build up. And when you have spent a few months of years preserving all the trickle charge from your crystal quartz as it comes down to you relentlessly, 24 hours a day, if you seal your aura and meaning for 4 lower bodies in harmony and the right use of the sacred fire, there will be such a potent charge of your God's presence in these 4 lower bodies that they will become more and more impervious to any outside intrusion. And when there is a call that you make, the light that you release will be like a whip. The light will go crackling forth in answer to your call out of these reservoirs of the sacred fire, and that you have built up within your own lower bodies. It will go forth like a lightning bolt or in whatever other visualization you have as a device for your decrees and your visualization. So when you build up a force within you yourself, then all your manifestations and for whatever you want, you can send forth that light to recreate, and the light will work like a whip and it will recreate your whole world. Okay. And when there's a call that you make, the light you release will be like a whip. The light will go crackling forth in answer to your calls out of this reservoir of the sacred fire, and you have built up within your four lower bodies. It will go forth like a lightning bolt, or in whatever other visualization you have as device for your decree and your visualization. Mighty Astra, sword of blue flame, works especially because it comes down and reinforces your own electronic circle. The great divine director's belt is the same action. Both of these come down and are superimposed over the electronic circle. So this is what we have missed out. Do you see? We have so far been calling in Astra, but the great divine director's belt also we should call upon. Okay, this is one more note. Can you note it down, Sangeeta? We call upon Lady Astria. We also have to call upon the great divine director's belt. Both of these come down and are superimposed over that electronic circle. Apna electronic circle ko superimpose karte hain. And the sword of blue flame of mighty Astria, you can visualize as the vertical axis of the circle, lying on the spine from the back, going up and down, with the point of the sword going upwards, and you see whatever is in your world, that is misqualification. If this is your spine and this is the sword of blue flame, they are like this, and the darkness is drawn off through your spine and is caught up in the upward whoosh of the blue flame sword, and it just draws it off into the light, and it's no more. So that action of mighty Astra is very good for beginning the process of rebuilding the electronic circuit. Let me just read you this one instruction on this action. It is very central to this entire week of the use of sacred fire. This is discourse notice that we prefaces the teaching of the electronic circle proper with the subject of the preservation of the sacred fire. Mankind in general and doctors particularly have distorted this pitiful misuse of sacred fire in sex is the greatest avenue of waste, and that's why people can't hold long enough to their presence to attain mastery. 95% cause of old age. So they're saying if you have this leakage here, you become old because through sex we lose a lot of our energy. One way to change is to redirect attention instantly to the higher self, not human willpower. Lift out of condition, electronic circle holds reserves of energy. Pure love of God need not go below the heart. Here is a little, so what they are talking is if the love is, if you're having sex, but if it's an expression of true love, it's okay. But if it has the tinge of lust in it, then you are losing a lot of energy. And then your belt will be, your electronic belt will not hold a lot of light. Because the pure love, if you have, does not require, is all about the heart chakra, not below. Is that. I know the young girls are worried over here. Here is a little more on the electronic circle. This is the discourse tree. Remember the premise that every creation is surrounded by such an electronic belt. Then the first example is he gives in the golden etheric city. This golden etheric city above Cuba, Brazil, and Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert one is very nice. Reading continues. It is surrounded by an etheric belt. The Sahara Desert is surrounded by an etheric belt, which is more powerful than a wall of steel. Than many feel thick would be to a lesser degree, may the individual surround himself with such an electronic circle or belt, it qualifies in whatever manner they may choose. And what is Ardiko? I don't understand. Choose, hold, preserve energy. Be careful to send it out only in divine love. Once had this circle in perfection, now must go and work, consciously create circle again. Meaning, you just keep on creating and creating a circle upon circle. That way, are they saying that? By building the belt upon a belt, like making it as big as you possible. But he goes on to say, reading it, it is no barrier to love and adoration. The electronic belt is no barrier to love and adoration.
Actually, you missed one paragraph after that.
Huh?
You missed one paragraph about this.
I missed the part. Now the last point on this, which is also a value, is that Saint Germain explains that even your own mighty I am presence in its own realm is surrounded by a similar electronic circle. And the trust from that is so powerful that it keeps out anything unlike itself. So can you imagine if we are unlike our own divine spark, the electronic belt around the divine spark is going to throw us off. It will not let us join with it. So if you do not have the qualities of your own divine spark, if you are unlike the divine spark in any manner, if we are judging him, if we are not judging him, if we are like whatever qualities, if he has, we don't have, then the thrust of his electronic belt will go away. So they say the best way to melt with your divine spark is give adoration to your divine spark. Give adoration every day. That is the best prayer you can always have, is to give adoration to your divine spark. Are we learning more or no today? Yeah, this was a very important para. Now, the last point on which is also a value is that Saint Germain explains that even your own mighty I am presence in its own realm is surrounded by a similar electronic circle, and the thrust from that is so powerful that it keeps out anything unlike it. But he goes on to say, it is no barrier to love and adoration. Meaning, if you give love and adoration, there'll be no barriers. And if an live stream wishes to enter into the holy of holies of their own God presence, they will imbue themselves with the vibration of pure God love as it exists in their pink plume. And in that love, they will move effortlessly into that commune and that living presence of their God presence. So it says that if you meld with that pink plume inside the three plumes which we have, and the plume of love, which you really meld in that, and just think of that, the purest love of the divine, then that will help you completely be in oneness with your divine spark. And that thing will, the electronic belt of the divine cannot sting you out. Got it? All of you? So beautiful it is, no? So beautiful. So that begins to show you somewhat of the impersonal operation of this electronic circuit. The last point about it that Saint Germain makes is that when the lower self re-establishes this action of the sacred fire in the four lower bodies, there's congruency between the electronic circle of the mighty I am presence and the electronic circle established by the other outer life stream. And thanks to that congruency, there is a connection, and that is made, and there is a perpetual outpouring from the God presence that flows through the outer self and magnifies this perfect radiation through the outer self going out into the world. And he says that even if the person didn't give any other service, just being that open door to the outpouring of the God presence would be sufficiency of service in a given embodiment, because that light is so powerful. So he says that if your circle, if you are making a circle around you and divine has a circle, and because you're both congruent, the congruent angles we learned is of the same type. Yes, both same type. Then when you are that strong as the divine electronic circle, then the outstream, the stream of light which flows from the divine is a continuous flow. And even if you then don't go out and do any service, and but that flow in you is so much that radiates out. And because it's sort of, see, when your aura goes bigger, your circle goes bigger, and you're encompassing, and so many people come within your circle. So automatically people get blessed. So whether you do anything or you don't do anything, you are still serving people because of your own light, which is continuously coming. And that light is blessed. Got it? The teachings today of the electronic circle. Now you feel more motivated to practice? Huh? Yeah, wonderful. So we will note on this. Thank you, Divine, for such beautiful teaching. Love you. God bless everyone. Thank you, God. Thank you, Divine. Thank you. All who have been present here, all are blessed and all are. Thank you, thank you. So nice. When I read it, I couldn't understand it so much. I read it 3 to 4 times, but I couldn't understand. And today, when I'm explaining it to you all, I'm understanding it more better. Deeper. I don't know how that happens all the time. When I start explaining things, the teachings come better to me. And I understand it better. Okay? Okay? Good night. See you. Love you all. God bless.
Thank you, Master. Good
Love
night.
you. Bye. Bye. Good night.
Thank you, Master. Good night.
Yeah. Good night.
Hello, Master.
હા જયશ્રી તું કોણ છે? અવાજ તો જયશ્રી જેવો જ આવે છે.
નહીં, રીટા.